Welcome back. As a part of the conceptual class, we understood we got to use the roll-ups and cubes for multidimensional aggregations. We do have a grouping sets as a part of the SQL, but that can't be used as a part of the PySpark. So we got to use rollups and cubes. Let us take some examples and understand rollups and cubes by doing hands-on. If you already have not created a data frame, by reading the retail data set, you have to create one. We have done this already multiple times, but if somebody has not really done this, I'm just trying to create a data frame for them so that they may not get confused. So I'm going to create a data frame here by reading almost 100 files from our retail data set. There you go. Let's look at the schema of this print schema just to see whether, yeah, we do have some 8 columns. Let's go ahead and see what are the columns here. Okay, we do have a data for all the columns. Now, one more thing what we have to take care is we have to convert the invoice date column into a date type. If you see in our data frame, invoice date is a string. That is the reason we got to convert that into a date by using a toDate function. We have already seen this earlier. We are putting that into practice now. Let's do that now. Okay, that's taken care. One more last thing what we got to do is let us drop if there are any null values in this data frame. Let's go ahead and do that and create a data frame called df no null. We are all set to create a roll up. We are creating a roll up on 2 columns. One is the date column which we just created by adding a date and country. And aggregation, what we are doing is sum of the quantity. Remember, aggregation, see, all these things we have already used as a part of earlier lectures. We are putting them into practice now. So if you have practice aggregations, how we aggregate earlier, this would be easy. Whatever we have in a roll up, let's select by using a select expression. So I will select a date. Okay, date, and I will select a country. And I will select some of the quantity as well. I'm going to order this by date. We are all set. Let's go ahead and create this data frame. So let me kind of reiterate once I execute what we are doing here. Okay, see here, we took a data frame. The name of the data frame is df no null, where we dropped all the null values, and we are using a roll up here. Roll up is a multi-dimensional aggregation. We are taking date column and country column. On these 2 columns, we are trying to perform a multi-dimensional aggregation. Then what is the aggregation function? Here we are trying to sum the quantity. Okay, and we are selecting all those 3 columns. So we are just ordering by the date so that we know how the aggregation has happened across the dates. Let's go ahead and show this. We'll get to know. There you go. You can see in this case, we have null, null, and 5176450. What it means is whenever we find null values for both the columns, it is the total. It is the total. Okay. Across the date and also across the country. Then if you see here, now across this date, in this date, the total quantity is 26,814. And it will go on. This is the aggregation across all the countries on this date. That will be further broken down into countries. For example, on 2010 December 1st, Australia has 107, France has 449, we have 23949 on United Kingdom. So we have how many rows? Let us go ahead and see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 rows for this particular date. If you add up all these 7 rows, it will be 26,814. You can see there is an aggregation on the date, and that is further broken down into countries as well. This is the glimpse of how a simple roll-up function can give the multi-dimensional aggregation. This is a very handy function. If there is any requirement to go for a multi-dimensional aggregation, never forget this function. The management guys would love to get a aggregation something like this across the different dimensions. One more thing what we can do is, let's try this. If you say rolled up tf dot where country is null, then you'll get to see all the values of the aggregations at the date. For example, if you see on 2010 December 1st, this is the total. On 2nd, this is the total. No need to scroll down all the rows here. You'll get the aggregation of each of the date. Isn't this handy? But if you want to do other way around, like if you want to see what is the aggregation at the country level, okay, you got to change a bit here. The way you can work it out here is, let me do that here. F1, then I will change this one. This is one way of doing it. There are multiple ways to achieve the same thing, but I'm trying to do this so that you understand this at least one way. So if we go ahead and execute the same thing here, now if I say roll up df1 where date is null, date is null, then you'll get to see a data of all the countries. You can see aggregation by country here. This is a quantity of the things purchased in Denmark in this particular data set. Isn't it handy? Isn't it beautiful? It is. Wonderful. Let's move on to the cube now. As we know, cube takes a roll up to a level deeper. Rather than treating the elements hierarchically, what it does, it calculates the, or it aggregates across all the dimensions. Like A total for each country, each date. Let us execute that. Then it will be a bit more clearer for you. So all I will do here is I will repurpose my roll up and get a cube from that. That's it. Let's go ahead and execute this. All I did is I replaced the roll up with cube. It is as simple as that. But I am keeping the parameters same, the columns and all those things are same. It all depends on the requirement of the project. I'm trying to demonstrate the functionality or what each function is doing here. That is the reason I'm keeping the same thing here. Let me go ahead and show this guy. You can see the first what it is doing is aggregation at each country level. If I show more number of rows, then you will get to know the beauty of cube. There you go. See, first some almost like some 20 plus rows, it is showing the aggregation at a country level. Then comes the date level. On this date, this is the aggregation. Again, now this date, this country. Like this, whatever is the possible permutation and combination across these two columns, it will go ahead and do this. If you were to write a program for this, it may take more time. Better remember the roll up and cube. I hope you guys enjoyed this practical session. Never forget to practice because practice makes a man perfect. Thank you.